Hi everyone, welcome and welcome back to CrochetObjet Knitting. If you are new here, my name is Moran. You can call me Mo. On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make the framing, the border around the Over the Moon crochet blanket. This pattern is available in my Etsy shop. I will leave a link to the pattern down below in the description box for you. On today's video, I'm going to go step by step from the first step to the last one of the border making. This border is actually made out of 7 rounds. We will start by a few rounds of double crochet stitches, and then we will move on to single crochet stitches and then to a slip stitch. We will end up with a little twist in a slip stitch to add this tiny little detail that I'm so in love with to finish up the blanket framing. In my original blanket, the first part of the framing is made out of the shell gray color from my Granny Kit Cotton collection, and the last round is made out of the black jet color. In today's tutorial, I will end up with a different color just to make it easier for you to see the details. For this border making, we will need to use 2 different crochet hook sizes. We will start by a 3mm crochet hook, which is the same size as we used for the whole blanket. And then we will finish with the last section. We will use 3.5mm. We will also need a beginning of round marker, a removable one, and 4 extra removable stitch markers in a different color. We will need a pair of crafty scissors and a tapestry needle to weave in ends. So let's dive into the making. In my written pattern, I use this colorful sample and I use different colors for the joining and then also for the last framing round. For today's tutorial, I will use the sample I used in my previous video, which was where I showed you how to join your squares using the front stitch joining method. I will leave a link to this video down below in the description box for you. In this sample that I'm going to use today, I didn't weave in the ends from my joining lines because I want to show you how you can work over them when you reach them. So for the first framing round, we are going to work double crochet stitches around our blanket. My little sample is only 2 by 2 squares, but your blanket or your project is, I guess, bigger. I want to be making the first rounds using the 3mm crochet hook, and I want to start by using the same color as in my background, so in my case it's the shell gray color. I want to start the round at any corner around. I insert my hook into the corner space, just like so. Put the yarn on my hook, bring it to the front of the work, and then I want to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And these 5 stitches counts as the first double crochet with 2 chain space stitches. So it's a beginning of the first corner. Now I want to make 2 double crochet into the first corner space. And now I want to make a double crochet on top of each stitch. So I want to make sure I don't miss the first stitch, and this stitch can be hide under the corner stitches. So I want to make sure and look carefully. This is my first double crochet and I want to make a double crochet on top of this first one. So, and I can work over the short yarn tail. So I'm going to be making 1 double crochet in each stitch till I reach the next corner. Now I have 1 more stitch and then I'm at the corner space. So at the next corner space, I want to make 2 double crochet and I want to make them into the space. So I want to insert my hook into the space, into the corner space. Now I reach the point where I have a stitch from the joining. So I want to make one double crochet into this joining stitch. Yarn over, and I want to insert my hook into the middle of this V-stitch, and I'll help myself with this finger dig into this stitch. And I can take the tail left from this joining and work over it. Now I have two tails that I'm working over, two yarn tails I'm working over, and that's fine. Next I want to make two double crochet into the next corner space, which is the first corner space in my next square. So 1 and 2. And if you don't like to work over the yarn tails, that's totally fine. You can just take a tapestry needle and weave them in later on. Now I want to make a double crochet on top of each of the next stitches. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll meet you back here when I reach the next corner space, which for me it's the corner of the actual blanket. So now we are ready to crochet our first corner, the first corner of the actual blanket. I want to make two double crochet into the chain space. I want to make two double crochet, two chain stitches and two double crochet. So 1, 2, 2 chain stitches and 2 double crochet into the same chain space, and this is our corner made. So now I want to continue and make a double crochet in each stitch all the way up to the next corner. I want to make 2 double crochet into the chain space and then 1 double crochet, 1 extra double crochet into the joining stitch, and then 2 double crochet into the chain space, double crochet all the way up to the next corner, and in the corners I want to make 2 double crochet, 2 chain stitches and 2 double crochet. I will continue working all my way around till I reach the first corner where we just started, and I'll meet you back here to show you how you complete the first corner made and how you close the round. And I just wanted to show you, when I reach the joining stitch, I want to make a double crochet into this joining stitch, and what I usually do, I take the yarn tail and work over it. So I really attach it to my work and I work over the yarn tail. I work my stitches over the yarn tail. So 2 double crochet in the chain space, and now I want to make a double crochet on top of each of the stitches, and I want to make sure I'm taking the short yarn tail with me. This is the yarn tail left from my joining, from the joining section. I want to work over it a little bit and still leave a little yarn tail so I can secure it using a tapestry needle later on, because I think with cotton, mainly when you work with cotton, it's better if you go a little bit into the opposite side. So you take a tapestry needle and then after you finish, you weave it in the opposite side, just to be on the safe side. So I'll work all my stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you back when we are ready to close the round. So I have just a few more stitches to go. And here is the first corner where we just started. In order to complete this corner, I want to make 1 more double crochet into the same corner space. And in order to close the round, I want to make a slip stitch into the third chain of my initial chain 5. So I go ahead and count from down here. I count the V stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to leave 2 chain stitches for corner space, and I want to make a slip stitch into the third, and I want to make sure I get into the middle of this stitch. I want to take a yarn over and make a slip stitch. So now the first round of our framing of our border is made and completed, and that's how it looks. All the double crochet stitches around, including the extra stitch we made into the joining stitch, which create a very seamless look without any gaps between 2 squares. We are ready to move on to the next 2 rounds, which are pretty much the same. So I want to start with a slip stitch into the chain space next to me, and then chain 5, 4, 5, which counts as the first double crochet plus chain 2 for space, and then I want to add 2 double crochet into the same chain space for corner, and I want to continue and make a double crochet in each stitch around, and when I reach a corner I want to make 2 double crochet, 2 chain stitches and 2 double crochet into the chain space, and in this way I want to complete all the way around till I reach the starting point, and then when I reach the first point where I just started, I want to add 1 more double crochet into the same chain space, and then I want to close the round with a slip stitch into the third chain of my initial chain 5. So in this way I want to continue and make 2 more rounds, just the same 2 more rounds, and to create 3 rounds of double crochet stitches. These are the 3 first round of the framing. So go ahead and complete the next 2 rounds of double crochet, and I'll meet you back here when we are ready to move on to the next rounds of the framing. So now I'm at the last stitches of my third round of double crochet, and I want to make sure I don't miss this last stitch, this one here. This is the last double crochet, and now I'm at the corner, at the first corner where I just started. So I want to make 1 more double crochet into this corner space, and then I'm ready to close the third round. I want to slip stitch into the third chain of my initial chain 5, and that's it. These are my first 3 double crochet rounds. These were very relaxing and easygoing rounds to crochet, which I hope you enjoy. And now I'm ready to move on to the next section of my border of the framing. Now I want to start round 4, and the pattern tells me to single crochet into the corner space, and to mark this first stitch, which is the first stitch of this round, I want to put a removable stitch marker on this first stitch, and then I want to chain 2 for corner space and make 1 more single crochet into the same corner space. And now I want to make a single crochet in each and every stitch till I reach the corner space, the next corner space. So go ahead and make your stitches up to the next corner space, and I'll meet you back here when we have single crochet all the way up to the first corner space. So I have just a few more stitches to go till I come to the end of the round, and this is actually the last stitch, the last single crochet stitch, and I finished round 4. The pattern tells me to continue spiral from here. So this was round 4 of my over the moon framing, and now we can move on to the next section of our framing, and the pattern tells me to change to a 3.5 millimeter hook. So I finished working with my 3 millimeter hook. I changed to a 3.5 millimeter hook, and I want to have 4 removable stitch marker next to me. And the next rounds will be worked using the slip stitch, and I want to keep my stitches loose. I want to keep it in mind, and I want to work all my slip stitches into the back loop only of each stitch around. So first I want to remove my beginning of round marker and slip stitch into the back loop of this first stitch. Keep it loose and mark it. Now make a slip stitch into the next stitch, which is the first of the chain 2 in the corner. So slip stitch in the back loop of the chain stitch, chain 2, mark the chain 2. This is our new corner stitches. Now I want to slip stitch into the next stitch, which is the next chain stitch, and I want to continue making a slip stitch into each and every stitch till I reach the next corner. So I'll put these aside. So let me go ahead and make my slip stitches all the way up to the corner, and I'll meet you back here when I'm ready to make my next corner to show you what we make in the corner. So I have one more stitch to go till I reach my first corner, and now I'm at the corner stitches and I have 2 chain stitches in the corner. So I want to slip stitch into the first chain 1 in the corner into back loop only, chain 2, mark the chain 2, slip stitch into the second chain stitch into the back loop only, and then I want to slip stitch in each and every one of the next stitches till I reach the next corner, and in the next corner I do just the same as I did here, and also in the third corner, and each of my 4 corners will be marked. The chain 2 stitches in the corner will be marked, and I will go ahead and make my slip stitches all the way around till I reach the beginning of round marker, and I know I am on the right tension if I have my stitches relaxed and I don't see any tension in my work and the border is flat and relaxed. That's how I know I worked my stitches in the right tension. So if you think you have to go up a size in your hook, feel free and try 3.75 or whatever size that keep your stitches loose and relaxed. So go ahead and finish my round, and I'll meet you back when I am back to my beginning of round marker. So now I'm very close to the end of round 5, and this is the last stitch of the round, and here is my work at the end of round 5. All my corners are marked, all the chain 2 corners are marked, 4 of them, and I'm ready to start round 6. And in round 6, I want to make pretty much the same thing I did in round 5. I want to make a slip stitch in each and every stitch around, and I want to make my stitches only to the back loop of each stitch. And the only difference is that I want to make 1 chain stitch in each and every corner. I want to keep my beginning of round marker, but I will remove the corner stitches as I come to them. So First thing, I want to remove the beginning of round marker and slip stitch into the back loop of this stitch, of the first one, and I want to mark it. And now I want to slip stitch into the back loop of next stitch. I can remove this stitch marker, and I know I have 2 chain stitches in each corner, so I make a slip stitch into the first, chain 1 in the corner into the back loop, chain 1 and slip stitch into the back loop of the second chain stitch in the corner, and now slip stitch to the back loop of the next stitch and the next stitch, and I'll continue working that way, paying attention not to make my stitches too tight. I want to keep my stitches loose because I want to keep all my border stitches relaxed. So I will continue working this way all the way around, reminding you I want to remove the stitch marker in the corner. When I come to it, I want to make 1 slip stitch in the first corner chain, make a chain 1 and then slip stitch into the second corner chain stitch, and I will meet you when I'm back here at the beginning of our last round. Just a few more stitches to go to the end of the round. Last stitch. Now I can remove beginning of round marker. And to finish this round, I want to make an invisible join. So I cut the yarn, leaving a little bit of a yarn tail. I want to pull the stitch all the way up. And now I want to show you how to make the invisible join. So I want to thread a tapestry needle onto the yarn tail. And now I want to create like a fake stitch. So in order to make the invisible join, I want to skip the next stitch and I want to insert my needle into the back loop only of the next stitch. Just like so. Pull the yarn all the way up. Then I want to go back to the last stitch I made and insert my hook into the middle of the stitch and into the bar loop behind it. Pull the yarn, and I created a new stitch, and it makes the joining point very smooth and seamless. So now I have this tapestry needle on my yarn, so I'm gonna weave it in just because it's already there. I weave it in between the stitches and I want to hide it so it won't show at the right side of the work, and I'll go a little bit to the opposite direction. Now I can cut this yarn, and this is round 6 made. You can see how beautifully the 2 rounds of slip stitches made my edge look. It's very neat. And now I'm ready to start the last round of this framing, round number 7. In my original blanket, the last round is made out of black jet color, which is the same color of the circles in the original Over the Moon blanket. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using color Cadet just to make it easier for you to see the details. I still use the same hook size, 3.5 millimeters. So let's see how we make the last round. First, I want to turn my work and so that the wrong side of the stitches facing me. And in this round, I'm going to be working my stitches to these upper loops that I have around the edge of the work. These upper loops, if you look from the front side of the stitches, are the back loop of each stitch. When I look at them while the wrong side facing me, these are the upper loop of each stitch. And I want to make this round by simply make a slip stitch into each and every one of these upper loops. And I want to join the new yarn in about like 3 centimeters far from the corner. So I insert my hook into the upper loop. I want to put the yarn on my hook, the new yarn. I want to keep a nice yarn tail so I can weave it in later. And I want to bring the yarn to the front of the work. Now I want to chain 1 and I can start working my slip stitches around. And I insert my hook into this upper loop, each and every one of these upper loops around my blanket. So this is the last and final touch for this framing. And now I reach the stitches in the corner. I simply continue to each and every upper stitch, just one by one. So I want to keep them all loose and relaxed, and this is how it looks from the wrong side, and here is how it looks from the front side of my blanket. And I really love this little final touch to my Over the Moon framing. So let me work all my slip stitches around using the upper loops only, and I'll meet you back here when I'm back at the point where I started to show you how to finish the round and how to weave in the end. And this is the last stitch. And now I want to cut the yarn, leaving a little bit of a yarn tail. And I want to make an invisible join, so I want to put the hook inside the loop and pull it all the way up. And now I want to thread the yarn tail into a tapestry needle. And let's do this invisible join together. So I want to skip the first stitch, which is this one, not the chain stitch, not the first chain stitch, but the first stitch. And I want to make an invisible join into the next stitch. So I insert my needle just like so. And then I want to go back to the last stitch I made, insert my needle into the middle of this stitch and into the shell gray loop underneath. And I just created an invisible join. I want to hide the stitch underneath a little bit. Now I want to hide this yarn tail under the last round stitches, just like so. I think it will be better to do it when the right side facing you. So I go underneath the stitch in this way and underneath the stitch that way. I'll do that a few more times. And then I'll try to take the yarn and bring it under these stitches and maybe thread it underneath the slip stitches here, just to hide it. And that's enough, I think. I'll take it to the wrong side and I'll cut the yarn end. And I'll do the same with this yarn tail. Here, what I'll try to do is go under these stitches, and I'm at the front side of my work, so make sure you work while the front side of the stitches facing you. And I go under the stitches a little bit, the slip stitches. And then I go back and I'll cut the yarn. And that's it. Now I can go ahead and weave in these yarn ends, and my over the moon framing is done, and you can see that these slip stitches made tiny little framing detail on the last round at the front side of the work, and this is how it looks at the wrong side of the work. And yeah, this is it. I hope you like this framing, and I think those slip stitches rounds are a little bit of a work to put in the border, but I think it's really worth the effort. I hope you think so too. We ended up with more or less 3.5 to 4 centimeters border, and this is how it looks. This is how it looks in the original blanket. I really hope you enjoy this tutorial and you find it helpful. Please, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you on my next video.